How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf 22 of Masechta. Daf Kuf Chav Beis, Daf 122 of Masechta BavaBasra. Friends. Alright. What do you want me to tell you? Is it 122? Is that what we're up to? Yeah, I think so. Why not? Alright. Alright, it might be a noisy daf. It's Erev Yontif over here, so there's a lot going on, but I don't think it's too complicated, so it should be alright. Alright, so we're going to start in daf Kuf Chav Aleph, daf 121 Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom, last one on the line. Iboilu de'asa kasha, Eretz Yisrael l'shvotim iflug, o dilma l'karkif gavrei iflug. How was Eretz Yisrael divided up? Did they say, well, there's 12 tribes, so let's take Eretz Yisrael, let's divide it into 12 portions, 12 pieces, and then each tribe will then divide it up based on how many people, based on how many men above the age of 20 are in their tribe. Or perhaps the Karkiv Gavri Flag, I just read that again, or perhaps Pashit, all the boys who are 20 years and above, they all stood in a very long line, irrespective of what Shevet they're from, and they said, okay, I'm here, give me my portion. And they would get their portion, and just every single person who was qualified got a portion of Eretz Yisrael. Tashma coming here, Ben Rav Lema'at. Well, the pasuk says that some people got more, some people got less. Now, if it was, we saw something similar recently, right? Now, if it was divided equally among everybody, well, then everybody would get the same portions. So rather, it must be that it was first divided into 12 portions, and then each portion was divided equally among all the people. But that means that larger tribes, less people got less, smaller portions because there were more people to divide up their tribe among. And smaller tribes, the people got bigger portions. So that's Bein Rav Lemat. Ve'od and Ochit. Tanya, we learn in the Brisa, Asida Eretz Yisrael sheteschalek l'shleisha asur shvatim. That in the future, Eretz Yisrael will be divided into 13 portions. Shabatchila, because initially, lo nischalke ela l'shneim asur shvatim. Initially, it was only divided. You hear that, Chaver? That's coming from upstairs. What are they talking about? I have my noise canceling headphones, so all I hear is the noise. I don't hear individual words. What time is it? That must be really loud, because now I can actually hear exactly what they're saying, even with the noise canceling headphones. So initially, initially it was only divided into 12 portions. And it was divided with money. The Gemara is going to explain later on what exactly that means. Shneimar, as the apostle says, Bein Rav Lema'at, it was divided up. Money, it was reconciled with money, as it says, whether you got a lot or a little. We'll explain what that means a little bit later. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda saw Yehuda Shavachamish Sayin Begalil. Right. Different real estate has a different value based on where it is. Right. So a saw of property in Yehuda, which is like where Yerushalayim is 5 times as valuable as property in the Galil, in the Galilee. Right. So one saw of property in Yehuda is the equivalent of 5 saw of property in the Galilee. And it was divided up in a lottery. Shenema, as the apostle says, Ach begerul, that the land will specifically be divided up in a lottery. And also the land was divided up by the Urim Vitumim, which was like the Kohen Gadol wears the Urim Vitumim, and it's like Ruach HaKodesh kind of stuff. Shneimar, as the apostle says, Al Pi Agerul, by the mouth of the lottery, that it wasn't just like a happenstance random lottery, it was Ruach HaKodesh kind of lottery. Okay, it's that how so? Elazar melubash urim v'tumim. Elazar the Kohen Gadol was wearing the urim v'tumim. V'Yoshua v'chol Yisrael omdim lefanov, and Joshua and all of Israel were standing before Elazar HaKohen. V'kalpi shel shvatim, v'kalpi shel tchumin, and there was what's the thing that you put the lots in? I guess a lottery. Yeah. As far as Babylon Talmudish is concerned, it is a lottery, and there was a lottery with the tribes, and there was a lottery with the different portions to be allotted. Munach in the fun of that they were there as well, these lotteries. And Elazar the Kohen through Ruach HaKodesh would say, Zvulin ole tchum ako ole imo. And Elazar says, now, out of this lottery is going to be the portion of Zvulin, the tribe of Zvulin, and the portion that is going to come out of the portions lottery is going to be Akko. Torah Bekalfi, they mixed around the lottery and Reshel Shvatim of the tribes, and then they pulled out a random tribe, Ve'ala biyado Zvulin. And sure enough, it was Zvulin. Torah Bekalfi shel Tchumin, Ve'ala biyado Tchum Akko. And then they mixed around the lottery of the portions, and sure enough, Akko came out. Interesting. Wow, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Okay, so it would be the Urim V'Tumim. So Elazar HaKohen with the Urim V'Tumim would be like, okay, that we're about to do Zvulin and it's going to be Akko, and sure enough, out of the lottery came Zvulin and Akko. And then with Ruach HaKodesh, Elazar HaKohen says, Naftali Ola v'Tchum Ginoser Ola. Next is going to be Shevet Naftali, and it is going to be the property of Ginoser. Torah Bekalpi, they mixed around the lottery Shel Shvatim of the tribes, V'Ala biyado Naftali, and sure enough, out came Naftali. Torah Bekalpi Shel Tchumin, and they mixed around the lottery of the portions, and V'Ala biyado Tchum Ginoser, and sure enough, the portion of Ginoser came out. V'chein kol shevet v'shevet, and so too with all of the Shvatim. So too with all of the Shvatim, that's what they did, right? Next up would be such and such a Shevet, and they're going to get such and such a portion, and so it would be for all of the Shvatim. And the way that Olam Hazeh is divided up is different than the way that I don't know what you said. The way that Olam Hazeh is divided up is different than the way Olam Haba is divided up. In Olam Hazeh, if a person has a wheat field, he doesn't have a fruit orchard. Stay pardes ein lo stay love, and if he has a fruit orchard, then he doesn't have a wheat field. The Olam Haba, however, in Olam Haba, ein lecha kol echad ve'echad, every single person, she'ein lo bahar uvashrelo va'emek, every single person has property in the mountains, in the plains, in the valleys, everything. Shneimar, as the Apostle says, Shar Ruven echad, Shar Yehuda echad, Shar Levi echad. Everybody's got everything. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mechalek lo'en ba'atzmo, and Hashem divides up to everybody himself. Shneimar ve'ele machlikosam nu'um Hashem. These are the divisions, the word of God. Katanamiyah shebatchila lo nischaka el l'shneim aser Shvatim. If you remember, the whole reason that we got into this was we were trying to figure out, was Eretz Yisrael divided up initially into 12 portions to the Shvatim, or was it just divided up, every single person got a portion? So the answer is what we saw in the Brisa, that it says that initially Eretz Yisrael was divided up into 12 tribes. So Shmamina the Shvatim ifluk Shmamina. So we see Take that Eretz Yisrael was divided initially among the 12 tribes, and then further subdivided among the people in the tribe. Omar Mar, we said, earlier, Asida Eretz Yisrael Tischalik l'shleisha also shvatim, that in the future Eretz Yisrael is going to be divided into 13 portions. Idach leman, what's the 13th one? There's only 12 tribes. What's the 13th? Rav Chisda says Rav Chisda l'nasi, the nasi, the leader of the people. The Chesiv, the Pasuk says va'oved ha'ir ya'avdu mikol shivtei Yisrael, that they are going to serve him from all of Israel. Maybe all it means is that they're going to provide for him workers, and he's going to have people to do his work for him, and that'll be provided by the people. No, because the Pasuk says va'nosir l'nosi mizeh u'mizeh l'sumas hakodesh ve'lachuzas ha'ir, that what was right that each shevet, I believe, would have some kind of a remnant of portions that would be for the nasi, in addition to the Trumas HaKodesh and the Beis HaMikdash, I think. Apparently, I guess everybody would contribute some property towards the nasi, and that would be the 13th portion. Okay, and the land was divided up for money. Yeah, this was like a little technical. Shenemar bin Rab Lim'ad, as Bud says, whether you have a lot or a little. What does it mean that it would be divided up with money? Maybe what it means is that, well, if one person gets a portion, right, let's say a person gets a sa'ah in Yehuda, and another person gets a sa'ah in the Galil. Now, Rabbi Yehuda had pointed out that one sa'ah in Yehuda is the equivalent of 5 sa'ah in the Galil. So if what it means, this ksafim thing, is that, well, if you have a person who gets a sa'ah in Yehuda and a person who gets a sa'ah in the Galil, well, the person who gets a sa'ah in the Galil is coming out, he's getting basically 20% of the value as the other person. So if you say, well, the solution is that the person in Yehuda will basically pay the difference to the person in the Galil. But atu b'shuftini askina, what are we talking about? Fools? But the person in the Galil is going to settle for property that is 20% of the value as somebody else and just accept a one-time cash payment. Right, in the long term, he's losing. So Ella, rather likrov v'rechoka. No, rather what it means is that, no, if you're getting 1 sa'ah in Yehuda, you would be getting 5 sa'ah in Galil, right? So that the actual property is the same, but there's an additional sort of added benefit, which is that Yehuda is right in the middle of things, right? Yerushalayim, I live in Yerushalayim, Baruch Hashem. I have the zchus to live in Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim is like the center of things, right? You want to be in Yerushalayim. It's mamash geval. So there's value to that, and also obviously, it's more expensive to live in Yerushalayim than it is to live in other places that might be further away from things. So there's that value, and I guess that, so even though the properties itself, they would make sure that everyone's getting property that was valued at the same, but there would be kind of this additional value of being close to Yerushalayim that I guess that they would pay, I guess. So where am I? And this whole idea of, do you pay with money or with property? Kitanoi Reb Eliezer Omer says Reb Eliezer b'ksofim elua, that they would pay with money. Reb Yoshua Omer b'karka elua, they would pay with property. Okay, fine. All right, let me tell you. Fine. V'lo nischalka ela b'geirul shenemer ach b'geirul. Okay, we said that the Eretz Yisrael was divided up with a lottery, as it says, right, only in a lottery. Tana ach begeril yatsu Yeshua v'cholid. When it says only a lottery, it's to exclude. The word ach is exclusatory, and it's excluding Yoshua and Joshua and Caleb. Lamai, what are they being excluded from? Ilem etlo shaku klal. If you're saying, well, they didn't receive anything. Hashta delav dedu shaku dedu miboya. We said that Joshua and Caleb received the portions of the Meraglim. So if they're receiving other people's portions, obviously they would receive their own portions. That they did Ella al pi Hashem, that they didn't receive their portions in the lottery. Rather, they received their portions directly from the Rebbeinu Shalom b'chvodo v'atzmoi. Yoshua d'chsev, it says by Joshua al pi Hashem, by the mouth of God, notnu lo as ha'ir sheshoal, they gave Joshua the city that he asked for as Timnas Sorach Behar Ephraim. Timnas Sorach in Har Ephraim. Ksiv Sorach Ksiv Chores. it says in one place Timnas Sorach, in the other place it says Timnas Chores. Amar Belazar says Belazar Betrila Perusea Kecheres Ulvasov Perusea Masrichan. Initially, the fruits were very hard and dry, like pottery. But then once Yoshua was there, it became gewaldig, so gewaldig that it's so geschmack and sweet and fatty were the fruits that if you preserve them for a long time, they don't preserve well because they're just so geschmack and ripe. Okay, some say punkt verkehrt. Initially, they were a little bit too good and you couldn't actually store them or anything because they would go bad. But then they became perfect that you could, you'd be able to store them away in pottery and they would last, and that was mamash gewalt. Kalev d'chsev, and it says by Caleb, vayitnu l'Kalev es Hebron, that they gave to Caleb Hebron. Kashadiv Moshe, as Moses said. Vayorish misham es shlosha bnei Anok, and he drove out of there the three giants. Hebron ir miklat hava, but how could it be that Caleb received Hebron? Hebron was for the priests, was an ir miklat. So Omar Abaye says Abaye Parvaro, the suburbs of Hebron. The apostle says Ve'es Ste'ir Ve'es Chatzereo Nosnu Lekalev Ben Yifuna B'Achuz, that the fields of the city and the courtyards they gave to Caleb Ben Yifune. What's that in Hebrew? Jephunneh, Caleb the son of Jephunneh, B'Achuz as his inheritance. So you got kind of the fields and stuff outside of Hebron. Says the Mishnah, Echad Abein V'Echad Abbas B'Nachla. Okay, the Gemara is going to kind of explain it ish. So both a boy and a girl when it comes to inheritance. Okay, what does that mean? The son, or per force, the son receives a double portion in his father, or the firstborn son receives a double portion in his father's property, and does not receive a double portion when he inherits his mother. And the mizonis, when a person gets divorced or dies, so his wife and his children are sustained from the estate. That is from the daughters would be nizonis from the estate of the father, but not from the estate of the mother. Okay, what does this mean? We have to explain our Mishnah. What does it mean that both a boy and a girl, when it comes to inheritance, if we're going to say that they split the inheritance, that if there's one boy and one girl, they split the father's inheritance 50-50. Tanan, but we learned in a Mishnah, we already learned, did we already learn this? Yes. Ben Kodem Libas, that the son, that if there's a son, he inherits all of it. He gets priority. And not only him, that if he dies, it then goes to his children, right, not to his sister. So it can't be saying that they split the inheritance. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak says, Nachman by Yitzchak, this is what it's saying, Echad ben v'echad abbas notlin b'roi ki b'muchzak. That both when it comes to a son and a daughter, if they are to inherit, right, so if there's a son, he'll inherit it. If there's no son but there's a daughter, she'll inherit. So they can inherit b'roi ki b'muchzak. What does that mean? Well, for example, what if right, so for example, the Bnos Tzlafchad, right? So if Tzlafchad died and his father Chefer was still alive, so Tzlafchad, at the time that he died, had not yet inherited Chefer because Chefer was still alive. Yet when Chefer dies, his granddaughters, the Bnos Tzlafchad, would inherit Chefer's property via their father Tzlafchad, who never actually had Chefer's property because he had died while Chefer was still alive. Yet when Chefer dies, they would still inherit Chefer's property because since it was destined to go to his father, since his father was Chefer's son, so therefore they would, when Chefer dies and their father Tzlafchad was already dead, so then they would inherit that property, even though Tzlafchad never actually had that property while he was alive. But that's also learned in the Mishnah. Right? We had said that the Bnos Tzlafchad received 3 portions in property in Eretz Yisrael. Chelek Avian, firstly, the portion of their father, because he left Egypt. But also, they received the portion of his father among his brothers from Chefer's portion. So we see that they inherited even Ra'ui Kiba Muchzak. So that's question number 1. So how could it be that what it's teaching is Ra'ui Kiba Muchzak if we already know that from an earlier Mishnah? Ve'od, and more so. My Ella, what does it mean rather? Because the thing with this rather thing is that it's weird. It's a shtickle apples and oranges. What does the Mishnah say? The Mishnah says, right? That both a boy and a girl inherit. So now if it says Ella, if it says but, perforce, if it says but, so I would think that it would list some kind of difference between a boy and a girl. We're saying both a boy and a girl inherit, but I would expect the conclusion of the sentence to be, but there is one difference between a boy and a girl. But that's not what the Mishnah says. There's a difference between inheriting from a father versus inheriting from a mother. That is not what I would have expected. I would have expected a difference between a boy and a girl, not between a father and a mother. So, V'od, my Ella, what's the deal with this perforce? What's the deal with this Ella? But Ella, perforce, Omar, Rav Papa says, Rav Papa Achi Ka'amar, this is what it means. Echad ben Bechad Abbas, when it says both a boy and a girl, Noten Chelek beBechora, receive a portion of the Bechora. That, if their father was a Bechor and receives a double portion from his father, so the grandchildren would also receive that double portion that they would inherit from their father, and that's whether the grandchild is a boy or a girl. But that was, we also know that already, right? That in that same Mishnah that we just quoted, it says, it says by the both Tzlafchad, that since Tzlafchad was a Bechor, the daughters, received the double portion that he was entitled to. So we see from there already, from that Mishnah, that girls would receive a double portion of their father. Ve'od, my Ella, and still, what's the difference with? What's the deal with Ella, right? Meaning we're saying that boys and girls are the same because they both inherit the double portion. But again, still we're saying that boys and girls are the same. The difference would presumably be between a boy and a girl, not between their parents. Not between, how you inherit from your father versus how you inherit from your mother. Elomar Rashi, rather says Rashi, this is what it's saying. Echad ben abonim v'echad bas ben bonus. Whether you have one son among other sons, or whether you have one daughter among other daughters, Im Omar, if the father said, Yirash kol nichosai dvarav kayomen, that if the father says that this particular son or this particular daughter is going to inherit all of my property, that works. And whether we're talking about a son among sons or a daughter among daughters. But we already learned. We're going to learn in another week. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, Mrs. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, that so long as he says this vis-a-vis somebody who is fit to actually inherit him, such as his son or his daughter, so it works. But if he's saying this, that so-and-so is going to inherit all my stuff, but he's not actually somebody who can inherit him, well then it's irrelevant. But if he says, one of my sons is going to inherit all my stuff, okay, it works. So we already know that from the Mishnah. But if you're going to say, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka teaches that on Daf Kuf Lamed, but what our Mishnah is saying is we have a Stam Mishnah like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka that is taka like him. Is that a mosquito? Uh-oh, that's bad. Oh no. Sukkot hasn't even started. There's already a mosquito here. Bad news. I am not going to sleep tonight. Damn. What should I do? Well, I guess I'm not sleeping tonight. Well, if I drink enough wine, I could probably pass out for at least a bit. Damn. Yeah, Sukkot is always the mosquitoes all over the place because you're going in and out all the time. I try to keep the door to the basement closed, but clearly it doesn't really work. Damn, that's gonna be bad. All right, where am I? So where were we again? So if we're going to say that, right? So we have a Stam Mishnah like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. That okay. So where am I? But Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka Stam v'achakach machlokesi. But sure, we have a Stam Mishnah here like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, but later on in Daf Kuf Lamed it's a machlokes. V'stam v'achakach machlokes ain't halacha kistam. When you have a Stam Mishnah followed by a machlokes, the halacha is not like the Stam Mishnah in that case. V'od my Ella, and still we haven't answered what's the deal with Ella. Right, we're saying that both a boy and a girl are the same, that whether the father says to one of the boys or one of the girls, you're going to get all my stuff, right, so it works, okay, so again, I would expect that the difference would be between a boy and a girl, not between how you inherit the father or the mother. Rather says my BavaBasra, this is what's going on, whether it comes to a boy, when it comes to a girl. Okay, so they're the same when it comes to inheriting their father and their mother, right? So if the son is going to inherit their father, or if the daughter, or if there's no son and the daughter is going to inherit their mother, everything is exactly the same. They'll inherit everything. But the only difference is vis-a-vis how the son inherits the father. The only difference is that when the son inherits the father, he would receive if he's the Bechor, he would receive Pishnaim, whereas he would not receive Pishnaim when it comes to the Nichsei when it comes to the mothers, when he inherits his mother. That's the only difference, is that the son, who's a Bechor, would get Pishnaim from his father's estate. Okay, fine. Oh man, this mosquito, huh? It's going to be a week of mosquitoes. It's going to be a week of mosquitoes. Yeah, it's going to be a week of mosquitoes. Yeah. Mosquitoes. That's just the way it goes around here. Alright. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Losis lo pishnayim. I'm gonna go shtickle weiter. I hope it's okay with you. Because if we go shtickle weiter, we'll get to a stopping point and then we can just start with the next thing tomorrow. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Losis lo pishnayim ke'echod. I hope it's okay. It's okay if we go weiter shtickle? Because this isn't like an easy thing. It's not a hard thing. It's like a shtickle gemara. And it's the end of the daf, but I think we can handle it. Tana Rabbanan losis lo pishnayim. So be'etzem a firstborn receives pishnayim. Pishnayim ke'echod. Atomer pishnayim ke'echod u'ener le pishnayim b'chol ha'nechasim. The shaila is, how does this pishnayim work? That when the bechor receives the double portion, what is this double portion? Right. So say there are 5 brothers. Okay. The firstborn, does he receive basically? So instead of dividing the estate in 5, you divide the estate in 6. 2 of them go to the firstborn, and then the remaining 4 go to the remaining 4 brothers, 1 each, respectively. So is that what Pishnaim is? That basically the Bechor gets twice as much as everybody else. Or maybe what it means is that you divide up the entire estate such, meaning if I gave you an entire estate, and I said, divide it up in such a way so that, divide it up into 2 portions, one of them being twice as large as the other. Be'etzim, what you would do is you'd have one portion would be a third, the other portion would be 2/3. Right? So are we saying that be'etzim what happens with the Bechor is that he actually receives 2/3 of the entire property? A double portion, if you were to take the entire property and divide it into 2 portions, one of them being twice as large as the other one, meaning one of them being a double portion vis-a-vis the other one, relative to the other one, i.e. 2/3 of the property, does the Bechor get 2/3 of the property and then everybody else divides up the rest of the one remaining third of the property? Right, so again, Pishnayim ke'echod. Well, Pishnayim ke'echod. So does it actually mean that he just receives twice as much as the next person? So if there are 5 brothers, so then you divide the property in 6. The firstborn gets 2/6, and the rest of the brothers get 1/6 each. Or do you take the entire property, divide it up in 2, such that one portion is twice the amount of the other, and give that to the Bechor, and then the rest of the brothers divide up the remaining third. Vidinu, well, it's logical. Chelko im echod v'chelko im chamisha. Well, look, let's say there's two brothers. Two brothers should be no different than five brothers. Right? Chelko im echod, right? The Bechor's portion when there's only one brother. V'chelko im chamisha. And his portion when there are five brothers. Ma chelko im echod pishnayim ke'echod. Well, just like when there are two brothers, his double portion is relative to the double portion, to the portion of his brother. So also, when there are five brothers, his portion is also just going to be double relative to what their brothers receive. I.e., if each brother is going to receive a sixth, so he receives 2/6. But I can also make right? I can argue fakert. Chelko im echod v'chelko im hei. We'll also compare how he, the portion that the Bechor receives when he only has one brother versus when he has five brothers. Machelko im echod pishnayim b'chol hanechosim. Just like if there's only one other brother, well then be'etzim what's going to happen is he's going to receive a double portion relative to the entire property. I.e., the brother's going to receive 1 and he's going to 1/3. He's going to receive 2/3. So avchelko im hei pishnayim b'chol hanechosim. So also when there are five brothers, so then also he would receive a double portion vis-a-vis the entire estate, i.e. 2/3 of the estate. And then the other brothers would divide up the rest of the remaining third among themselves. That it will be on the day that the father bequeaths to his sons. That we're comparing, that we're juxtaposing the inheritance and the double portion to the brothers. Therefore, do not say like it's the latter. I do not say that it is 2/3 of the property. Rather say that he receives twice as much as all of the other brothers. So if you're dividing up, if there are 5 brothers total, so then you would divide the estate in 6. The Bechor would get a double portion, and everybody else would get 2/6, and everybody else would get 1/6. V'omer, and additionally, the pasuk says, "Uvnei Ruvain Bechor Yisrael, Bnei Ruvain, the firstborn of Israel, Kihu Abechor, that he is the Bechor. V'chalo Yitzui Aviv, when he desecrated the bed of his father, Nitna Bechora Livnei Yosef. Well, then the Bechora, Nitna Bechoraso, his Bechora was given to Bnei Yosef, Ben Yisrael, the son of Israel, of Jacob. V'lolis Yachis the Bechora. It's not that Yosef is actually considered the Bechor. No, Reuven is still considered the Bechor, just that Yosef received this double portion. Ve'omer, and it says, Ki Yehuda Govar be'echov, that Yehuda, v'lenogid mimenu, ve'abechor liYosef, that Yehuda was, I guess, stronger than his brethren, and he's the leader, and the Bechora goes to Joseph. Never Bechora liYosef, so it says Bechora by Joseph, and never Bechora Lidoris, and it also says Bechora in general, for all generations. My Bechora Mur liYosef Pishnayim, just like the Bechora, where in the context of Yosef, is Pishnayim Ke'echod, a double portion relative to his brothers, right? That Ephraim and Menashe, all the other Shvatim got 1 portion, right? Yosef was divided, right? Got 2 for Ephraim and Menashe. Bechora Amur Lidoris Pishnayim Ke'echod. So also the Bechor in the context of all generations is that the Bechor gets twice as much as the brothers. V'omer, in addition, the pasuk says, "V'anina sati l'choshchem echad alachecha asher lakachtim yad amori b'chayvi v'kashti," and says, and also the pasuk says that Jacob says to Joseph that I'm giving you 1 additional portion on your brothers that I took from the Amorites with my sword and my arrow, my bow and arrow. Did he receive it? Did he take it with his sword and his bow? It says, I will not believe in my bow, and my sword will not save me. So rather, chaybi is prayer, kashti is bakasha, and kashti is supplication. My ve'omer. So what's all these ve'omers? Why do we have like 5 different psukim? Well, also, if you say that our initial pasuk of V'hoyer b'yom anchilo es banov, maybe that's like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, to say that he can give all of his estate to 1 child. Tashma uvnei Ruvain b'chor Yisrael. Well, then we have the pasuk of Bnei Ruvain b'chor Yisrael, that we said that right there, that the Bechora, that his Bechor was given to Joseph. And if you can say, yeah, but that says Bechora so. And whereas in general we need Bechora, so they're two different words. Lo Garminan, we can't learn them out from each other. Tashma Bechora Liosef. So in the next pasuk it says the Bechora is Liosef. Yosef Gufei Mimai the Pishnaim Ke'echod Hava. Okay, and if you can say, but even Joseph himself, I don't know that was twice the amount of the other brothers. Tashma Vanina Sati L'Choshchem Echod Alachecha. Well, then we have that pasuk of, well, I gave you one portion more than your brothers. Amalei Rav Papa Abai says, Rav Papa Abai Ema Dikla Ba'alma. Maybe that one portion is just an extra palm tree. So Amalei Alecha Makra. So Abai says, yeah, but for that reason the pasuk says, Ephraim and Menashe, Reuven v'Shimon Yuli. That Ephraim and Menashe are like Reuven and Shimon, i.e., each of Joseph's two sons received their own portion, just like Reuven received a portion, Shimon received a portion, also Ephraim received a portion, and Menashe received a portion. So we see that the Bechorah there in the context of Yosef was twice as much as the other, as each other brother. Wow. Okay, that was Daf Kuf Chav Beis of Masechta BavaBasra. We learned some actually really interesting stuff today, right? About how Eretz Yisrael was divided up. Was it among the tribes? What is it among the individuals? We said it was among the tribes initially, and then we had the whole thing with the Urim V'Tumim and the lots and all that kind of stuff. Very interesting. And then we got into like some Bechorah stuff, which is all right. Does the Bechorah get twice the amount of his brothers, or does he get 2/3 of the estate? It sounds like he gets twice the amount of the other brothers. Very interesting stuff. Peace out.